Hello guys, welcome back to the channel for another trade rumor type video. I've been loving making these every single day, and I know that I'm posting this quite later tonight given the fact that I've been busy, especially with schoolwork, being a college student, but I'm happy to have this out for you now, and I'm so happy to be talking about the likes of Johnny Hockey. But before I go further, I want to give a quick shout out and a quick thank you to Justin from Hands Down Hockey on his YouTube channel. If you haven't checked him out, make sure you do after this video and hit subscribe for sure. He's one of the best hockey YouTubers in the game, has roughly 13,000 subscribers, and for good reason. He has great content, and I had the privilege of being on his channel earlier today doing a 10-question Q&A in which he's doing a series with multiple hockey YouTubers. I believe it's going to be upwards of 15 YouTubers plus he's going to do a series of doing a 10-question Q&A of why they became a hockey YouTuber, things that they enjoy about being a hockey YouTuber, and all these other things, so you have a good idea of getting to know these YouTubers better that you say didn't even know before. So I think that is great what he's doing, and I'm very grateful to be on his channel, and I simply can't thank him enough. So make sure you subscribe to him if you haven't after you check out this video. But I also know that plenty of people that are subscribed to him have not subscribed to me. We are just around 700 subs, which is amazing, and I can't thank you all enough for joining the ride. This is only the beginning, guys, trust me. But to get into this video, what we will be doing in a nutshell is of course discussing Johnny Hockey, in which he has been subject to plenty trade rumors over the past couple of years with Calgary Flames, and with his future looking very uncertain, I think there's a very strong and reasonable possibility that he will be dealt this offseason to three teams with having strong chances and the likes of the New Jersey Devils, the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. So make sure you stay till the end of this video to get all the deets and all the information on Johnny Hockey and where you could possibly land and for what kind of return. But to start off, when it comes to Johnny Hockey, one of the best left wingers in the NHL today, and even though he did have a career low season this year when it comes to overall point production, he had 18 goals, 40 assists, 58 points in 70 games. That was a career low. Last season though, however, when of course the Calgary Flames won their division, I believe they were first in their division, right? He had 99 points, including 36 goals and 63 assists for 99 points. As I mentioned, he's a lady bean winner, and he is an amazing overall talent, is so nimble, is such a great skater overall, amazing playmaking ability, and can really shoot the puck as well. He's truly such an offensive threat anytime he joins the offensive zone, and for any team that would be interested in him, you have to try to make a solid deal for him, because he's quite the talent, and his future in the Calgary Flames uniform seems uncertain. For a couple of years now, he has been tied to many teams, especially on the eastern side of things, because when it comes to his contract situation, he has a cap of 6.75 mil for 2 years after, of course, the season is done, so it'll be 2 years now. But in the final year of his contract, he has a 5-team trade list, which means there are only 5 teams that he would essentially be willing to be traded to, and of those 5 teams, they're all around the Eastern Conference, of course, with the likes of the Boston Bruins, the New York Rangers, the New York Islanders, the New Jersey Devils, and the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, does that go hand in hand with the fact that he is, of course, a New Jersey native? Of course it does, and Boston makes sense too, given the fact that he, of course, did play in Boston College. So that is all more indication that it seems like he will definitely want to go home, or at least close to home, in his career going forward. And with how Calgary Flames has approached this past season, of course, firing earlier in the season Bill Peters, their former head coach, and then bringing in Jeff Ward, who's definitely more of a defensive mind, that has led to the lack of point production in this Calgary Flames lineup, not just for Johnny Hockey, but everyone in that offense. So I think with that going hand in hand with Johnny Hockey's overall play, I definitely believe personally that he wants out, and he will definitely go to a team that he is more interested in, especially closer to home, which goes hand in hand with the 3 teams I picked. Well, why does this make sense for the Calgary Flames side of things? Well, while Johnny Hockey is a great talent, they need help defensively, and they need help in their goaltending. Those are the 2 biggest holes. When you look at how they were defensively this year, they were one of the bottom feeders in the league. They were not looking strong at all, and they're going to be losing 5 defensemen who have been in their lineup over the past year out of the total 9 defensemen who have really been crucial in their lineup. Well, you're talking the likes of TJ Brody, Travis Hamonic, of course, Eric Gustafson, who they acquired at the trade deadline. Same thing with Derek Forbert, and of course Michael Stone. All those guys are going to be hitting the free agent market more than likely. Maybe Eric Gustafson stays, but I doubt it. I think he can get quite a cap hit in free agency as well. So all these guys are most likely going to hit the market, which is going to leave a gaping hole in that defense for the Calgary Flames that are already looking a little sparse there. And it reminds me a lot of the Winnipeg Jets situation. They have so many defensemen hitting, of course, the free agent market this offseason as well, besides the guys that they already lost last offseason. So the Calgary Flames definitely need help defensively and in that goaltending tandem between between Cam Talbot and David Rittich. I don't think they trust him going forward, especially in the playoffs, and I don't blame them. We are in a goaltending tandem type league now for sure, but you need to have a solid one in order to have a deep playoff run. And I'm sorry, but as much as I am a fan of Cam Talbot personally as a Rangers fan, and David Rittich has been solid, they're simply not good enough to get the job done if the Flames want any real chance of having a decent to long playoff run in these next couple years. So why do the teams like the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Philadelphia Flyers, and of course the New Jersey Devils fit this criteria? They have plenty of assets that could really benefit the Calgary Flames in a, say, bigger blockbuster deal with the likes of Johnny Hockey. So let's start off with the Columbus Blue Jackets, which seems like a very realistic possibility when you look at assets side of things. The Blue Jackets, as we all know, would be able to handle the cap hit of Johnny Hockey with his $6.75 million cap hit for the next 2 years, and they desperately need offense. There's no question. Losing the likes of Artemi Panarin and Ryan Dzingel and Matt Duchene this past offseason has desperately hurt this offense, and between injuries and just not having a deep offense overall, it has shown. They were one of the bottom feeders in all of the NHL this past year in offense, and while they did make playoffs, that was all hand in hand with John Tortorella and the type of coach that he is. He is quite fantastic in my opinion, regardless of what you feel about him personally. But getting on to Columbus, the type of assets that they would have to give up, and this is all just that has first come to my mind. Trade proposals that in my mind make sense, but if you say disagree or have different trade proposals in mind, let me know in the comments below. I'd really love to hear them. I like this kind of talk. But when it comes to the Columbus Blue Jackets, you have to think David Savard would be considered, of course. Of course, the right-hand defenseman, 29 years old, has a cap hit of $4.25 million for 1 year. A very solid top four defenseman that the Flames could benefit from right away in their lineup and fill a hole that is desperately needed to be filled. And then when you get to the goaltending, it has to be one of Elvis Merzlikins and of course Jonas Korpisalo. One of them has to go, and I think that's okay for Columbus because while they do love both goaltenders, they have such a great goaltending prospect pool to make it the deal worth it at the end of the day. It might hurt them short term, like as soon as next season, but it won't hurt them long term at all. They have one of the best goaltending prospect pools in the entire NHL, and whoever they bring up seems to do well, and I expect nothing less going forward for this organization. So one of Merzlikins or Korpisalo I expect to be part of this deal, and it would make perfect sense to be the number one for Calgary right away. And of course Merzlikins has a cap hit of $4 million for the next 2 years, of course, going into next season, and Korpisalo has a cap hit of $2.8 million going forward as well for a couple years, and they're both 26 years of age. So I think that would be great. And also adding a defenseman like Dean Kukin to add more defensive depth would make sense because he would just be a throw-in as part of the deal as well to help that defensive depth. 27-year-old defenseman, solid, nothing crazy overall, would just help with that defensive depth that is desperately needed for the Calgary Flames side of things. And then possibly throwing in a draft pick, maybe a second or third overall pick. I'm not sure. That may be too much, that may be too less. I'm not sure, but I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below on that kind of proposal. I think it would make a lot of sense for both sides going forward. But then let's get to the Philadelphia Flyers, a very interesting factor. As we all know, of course, Philadelphia very close to where Johnny Hockey grew up in Jersey. I believe he grew up in South Jersey too. If I am wrong, let me know in the comments below though. I believe he is from that area. So he's not far from Philly at all. And whenever he's at Flyers games, his family is always attending. He has plenty of friends and family there. He always says it feels like home when he's playing against the Flyers in Wells Fargo Center. So it makes you think that would make a lot of sense for him to go to a team like Philly that could definitely use a guy like Johnny Hockey to help take them over the hump from being a playoff contender to a short Stanley Cup contender. We saw what they did this past year, and while it was disappointing as they kind of looked like a cup favorite to many, bringing in Johnny Hockey in that offense would surely take them over the edge, in my opinion, to be a serious cup contender for the next couple years at least. But when it comes to guys they would have to give up, you'd have to think of at least one of Travis Sanheim and Felipe Myers. They're both very solid young defensemen. Sanheim, of course, 24 years of age, has 2 years left on his contract going into next season and cap at $3.25 million. And Myers is an RFA, so of course an extension would need to be in place. He only has a cap hit currently of $678K, but like I said, that will change given the fact that he is currently a pending RFA, 23 years of age. And you would also have to throw in James Van Riemsdyk in this deal, which would be perfect for the Flyers side of things, getting rid of that contract. And while he isn't nearly as good as Johnny Gaudreau, he isn't the focus of this trade either, and I want to make that clear. The only way for the Flyers to really make this deal happen is if they free up that left wing, especially for Gaudreau, and they need to get rid of a big contract, and JVR would be just that. So JVR, of course, isn't like the JVR of old, of course, but I think in a different situation like Calgary, with a type of game that they have, more of a defensive game, more of a hard-nosed game, similar to the Flyers, but Flyers are definitely more offensive productive as well, alongside AV being their head coach. I think JVR would have a kind of a rejuvenated type of career, somewhat similar to what Milan Lucic has done in that trade with James Neal. But when it gets to JVR, he's a cap at $7 million for 3 years and is 31 years of age. And I also think the biggest factor in this trade would be trading away top prospect for them from the, of course, Philadelphia Flyers and Cameron York. And yes, I know this may be a stretch, but they need help defensively, and to really shore up, giving up a guy like Johnny Hockey, who has the potential to be an 80 to 90 point player still in his young career. He isn't even 30 yet. I think Cameron York would be part of this deal for sure as a centerpiece. He was the first round pick by the Flyers, the left-handed defenseman, back in 2019, and he would surely be in this Flyers lineup with it. I mean, the Flames lineup within the next couple of years, and they desperately need help on that defense for sure. And I also want to mention one thing. If, say, it isn't a guy like Cameron York, you could consider the likes of Shane Gostisbehere. I think it's a little bit more of a stretch in my opinion, but Gostisbehere, of course, has definitely went dwindling down with his career with the Philadelphia Flyers thus far. Has a cap of $4.5 million for 3 years and is 27 years of age. He has definitely been the doghouse for Alain Vigneault since Alain Vigneault has been head coach, especially been in and out of the lineup, of course, and even had a short stint in the AHL this past year. But nonetheless, Gostisbehere, in a different situation, different scenery, could thrive. He has proven it in the past just how good he can be offensively. It's just a matter of, can he be that consistent kind of two-way point getter in the NHL again as a defenseman? I'm not sure he is, which is why I have him more as a stretch in this situation for, of course, this type of trade. I think Cameron York would obviously be the better piece between him and Gostisbehere, but it is a possibility. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts on that kind of proposal as well. But getting to our third and final team that we're discussing today, it is, of course, the New Jersey Devils. The Devils have been linked to Johnny Gaudreau plenty, of course, with the full sense of Johnny Gaudreau wanting to go back to his home state in New Jersey. It would make a lot of sense. And I'd also like to mention one more thing before I get to them, because I don't want to forget this. Of course, as we know, Johnny Hockey and Kevin Hayes are very close friends. They both played together in college at Boston College, and to see them together in Philadelphia would make a lot more sense. They've expressed their interest to play with each other in the past, so all the more reason for him to possibly be connected to the likes of the Flyers. Just wanted to add that in there. But getting on to the New Jersey Devils, the Devils would make obvious sense being back in his home state, of course, of New Jersey. But what would the type of return be? Well, we know the New Jersey Devils are basically more in a rebuild already. Would they have plenty of young, promising talent with the likes of former first overall pick Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier? Now it's a matter of getting some winners to make some things happen on that offense going forward, and Johnny Hockey would be that guy. It would easily be the best player in that lineup right away, and could propel them to lead them into possible playoff contention in the next, say, 3 to 4 years, if that is something Johnny Hockey is interested in, and really possibly finishing his career in New Jersey. I'm not sure, but what would the kind of return be for the Flames? It wouldn't be as much of an immediate impact return as it would be somewhat of a long term. I think the only way for this deal to even get considered is if the Devils trade away their top prospect in Ty Smith. And I know Devils fans don't want to see him go, but especially with him being a defenseman, I think that's something they would have to cough up for the likes of Johnny Hockey, who is sure to be a great talent in the NHL still going forward. Of course, Ty Smith, the right-handed defenseman, drafted first overall in 2018, only 20 years of age. I'm getting myself confused. I believe he's a left-handed defenseman, right? Not right-handed. Yeah, he's a left-handed defenseman, I think. And I want to throw him in there as well. And I also want to consider possibly Corey Schneider being part of this deal. And while he definitely hasn't been NHL caliber, at least with the Devils, maybe a change of scenery would do him good in Calgary, as they definitely need goaltending help. If they don't search on the market, maybe Corey Schneider could be that guy, rejuvenize his career. I think that is stretching it a little bit, but it is something to consider, as they can definitely need help in goaltending in every which way at this point, I would imagine. But Corey Schneider, of course, has $6 million on his contract for the next 2 years and is 34 years of age. And I think you would have to throw in a first overall pick in this year's draft, at least, of course, one first overall pick. My prediction would be maybe the later round pick that the New Jersey Devils have, not the Arizona Coyotes one, but the Canucks one. I think that would be a very good possibility. And maybe you could stretch it and say that instead of possibly Schneider in this situation, maybe you put in Subban as part of this deal to help have more of an immediate help on that defense. That is a possibility. Subban, of course, does have a big cap hit, though, at $9 million for the next 2 years and is 31 years of age. He definitely did not look great this past season, but in a more offensive team like the Calgary Flames when it comes to overall talent than the New Jersey Devils per se, maybe he would thrive as well. I'm really not sure, but it is something to consider because they need immediate defensive help. And regardless of how you feel about Subban or not with his play over the past year plus, he still would be an upgrade over plenty of other guys for the Calgary Flames going forward, given the amount of players that they're losing in this defense as soon as this offseason starts. So it is something to consider. I just wanted to throw that out there. But let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think these are possible teams that can land Johnny Hockey in this offseason? Do you think these proposals make sense, or do you think I'm just out of my mind? I would love to hear all your thoughts. Truly, I think Johnny Hockey is surely going to be dealt, and he is still one of the best left wingers in all the NHL, and you shouldn't get it twisted. And the reason why I didn't mention the New York Rangers in this video, because I would have if the Rangers weren't acquiring that first overall pick, which they are, which is going to be left winger Alexi Lafreniere. I think that takes them out of the equation, because if that wasn't happening, I think the Rangers would be a possible suitor. They have been connected to Gaudreau for a while, but I think at this point, especially with Chris Kreider, of course, possibly being on a third line eventually for the Rangers on that left side, given how deep they are, there's no way they could fit a guy like Gaudreau. I just don't see it happening. So I just want to mention that as well. But thank you all so much, guys, for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, hit like and subscribe. If you like this kind of hockey content, please help us reach 1K. We're so close there. I think we're going to get there really soon, and I can't wait. Plenty of great things are going to happen on this channel, and I will probably have an updated channel update type video and celebrating 1K separately when I do reach there, and give you more of an input on what is going to happen with this channel going forward once we get there. But thank you all so much, guys. Check out my previous videos down below regarding other trade proposals. I'll think you'll enjoy this one if you like this one especially, and I'll be back very, very soon.